Good morning, although it's evening here right now, but you probably won't see this till the morning. Just wanted to, you know how we talk about glitches that happen and when it's in a big bureaucracy or agency or an administration, it can be really hard to get the glitch corrected, get things moving along. There's so many different kinds. It can happen in almost any situation, I would say. It can happen in the field office. It can happen in the medical workup office, which is that DDS up by the state, at the state agency. And the one that happened to us today, well, it didn't start today, but today we got a little bit of resolution, and I just wanted to share it. So you can see how these things happen, and it's really, really frustrating. So for instance, a person who has filed for Social Security disability also had a workers' compensation claim. Now, they hadn't received any temporary benefits or settlement at any time during which they were claiming Social Security disability in the claim. After a bit of time, we prevailed on that SSD claim on initial. I'm pretty sure it was initial. Trying to think if it was initial or recon, but I think it was initial. And as typically happens, the field office, I think it's the field office, asks for the workers' comp information. So sometimes the person has it, sometimes they don't. And the field office gets pretty pushy about, we're not going to send you one red cent unless you prove to us you're not getting workers' comp. Of course, proving a negative is very, very difficult. Sometimes we try to, the client, the claimant typically doesn't have all that information. If they have actual all orders from the court as to temporary wages or settlement payments and everything like that, terrific. But that is few and far between. So here they are wanting to get paid their back benefits and their future benefits in full. And they're being told, no, not until you show us that you're not collecting workers' comp or that you didn't. Now, how do you prove a negative? I mean, you can invite them to look through your bank records. I mean, they kind of have their fingers in there anyway, I suspect. But that doesn't necessarily appease the SSA or get them to move it along. There is a form called the SSA 1709, where if you can put down the basics like the claim number, the employer, I'm not sure, I don't think you have to put the carrier, but you can have if you're the claimant, or if you are a rep, you can have the claimant sign that and shoot that up to the field office and say, hey, you're welcome to it. Go to the Department of Labor, or go to the employer, or go to the carrier and get all the workers' comp information you want, because honestly, I don't have anything to prove a negative. I mean, I'm negative, you didn't get anything. Nobody usually sends you a letter to say, hey, by the way, don't know you, but we're not sending you anything, So in this case, very fortunately, and this was through a proactive family member who was acting like a very wonderful liaison for the claimant. And she was getting things together, and she did get a letter from the carrier, I believe it was, that specifically said there were no payments after X date, which was, say, 5 years ago. So back right when we prevailed, we shot that up to them right away, along with claimants, confirming that, no, I haven't received anything. Those payments stopped such a long time ago, and we haven't settled. So the field office did ignore that, because when the final number letter came out, which comes out usually a number of weeks after they've told you that you've won medically, they say, because of your workers' comp, instead of getting, say, $3,000 a month, you're getting like $300 a month. Not kidding. I mean, a way to make your head spin, right? So resent the information. But of course, the letter they sent also gave if you don't agree with us, you appeal. Great. So that would be considered a non-medical appeal. You're appealing about their determination over some technical figures. So within a couple of weeks, we got that appeal out. I believe it couldn't be done online. I believe. I'd have to look. Sometimes in non-medical, you can't do it online. So if that was the case, then we did it on paper. That would be a request for reconsideration of that determination that said, because you're getting 3,000 a month workers' comp, you only have $3,300 left a month to get, or something like that. So it was a huge offset on monies that he never ever was awarded or received from workers' comp. So how does this happen? I don't know. I think it's pathetic. I think it's pathetic, particularly when I think it's pathetic that they would assume receipt of monies when there's no evidence of such. Just because there's a workers' comp claim means nothing, you know. All you workers' comp claimants who've been waiting around forever, you know what I'm talking about. So I just think it was some poor, unskilled worker, probably getting paid way too much for her contributions to the system, and just said, workers' comp, no matter what we said, no matter that letter from the carrier, there was zero evidence of any payments ever going to my guy, and they decided to just say there was. I'd call that false information, right? In a sense, it's almost like defamation, because it's certainly causing him damage. So we did the appeal, and that was in September. I don't hear anything. I don't get an acknowledgement of appeal, nothing. Now, keep in mind, this is an appeal that I'm guessing was on paper because the online system wouldn't take it. And it was with the field office and stays with the field office or a payment office. Does not go to, say, an ALJ, which, you know, then you're kind of, there's so much more professional about getting things handled and processed timely, for most things, you know, particularly appeals. So never get confirmation of the appeal. The client never gets confirmation that he appealed. So that's September. That was October. So I keep resending the appeal and showing the proof that we sent it back in September, because remember, most appeals have to be done within 60 days. But always read your letter in case there's going to say something else funky, like some change where it's 30 days. But anyway, so we had obviously done our part, and I kept following up to, you know, light a match under someone's tuchus to find out what's going on with the appeal. Why we don't even have acknowledgement that you received the appeal or that you've processed it. So and phone calls were tried, but I have limited patience, because you could be on hold for 30 minutes, an hour at the field office, and then get disconnected, or never get on a body, and you've got to go. You know, you can't always be on hold forever. I try not to do things with phone calls. I try to do them by documentation, because a phone call, you can't really prove what you're calling for. Documentation explaining, faxed in, mailed in. That's something you can retain to prove, you know, that you sent them something and they received it. So, you know, claimant's getting a little antsy, understandably so, but there's little we can do about it until we get them a light under the butt. And eventually, I would say what would happen is eventually you just have to go to your congressperson. When it comes to a cog being in the wheel, if the glitch is a cog in the wheel, you're not asking them to make a decision that I'm disabled, or make them make a decision that I didn't get workers' comp. That's not, you can't ask for a decision of substance. You're trying, the only thing you can get them to do is light a match under non-moving parts in the SSA to get this thing addressed, get it processed. So that would have been the next step. But I got contacted by my client who, because there was this big back benefits that they were saying they were offsetting. And when I say big, I'm talking like over $80,000. They received a 1099, which is what you're all going to receive when you have back benefits, and it's 1099 time. You will get a 1099 from SSA for your yearly benefits as well every year. So just be prepared, you know, for filing your taxes and such. So they get this big whopper of a 1099 saying, you know, 80,000 plus, maybe it was even 90,000 plus in back benefits, offset by 87,000. So that's how big of an offset they stuck him to it, right? Stuck him with it. And I was like, oh God, you know, because now, you know, that's the 1099 said the total plus the offset the total he's getting charged for income-wise is the whole kit and caboodle. So the offset is supposed to be because he received money from workers' comp. So the whole premise of the whole 1099 is incorrect because this less than stellar person at the field office did it wrong despite everything we sent them. So I got on the phone and I stayed on hold while I was doing other things. It was an in-office day for the most part. And finally got a very nice gentleman on the phone. And he looked up some things and he did determine that, yes, the appeal was received in September. I didn't ask him to explain to me why they didn't send a letter of acknowledgement like they do for, say, applications. Because honestly, it's not his fault, and he's not going to know why they didn't do that because they should have done that. So you know, you don't want to bite the hand that's helping you, the hand that's feeding you at the moment. He was really, really helpful and super sweet. So he found out that the appeal had been taken. He also found out that they had done something by October. So within 4 weeks or so, the field office didn't tell us that things were, you know, they were trying to correct things, but apparently they did notify the payment office that the offset was incorrect and should be reversed. This is according to the fellow I spoke to today. And he said, yeah, and that was October. So now we're talking January, right? That's pathetic. But he kindly sent them a message asking them to please, you know, do something with this, you know, reminding you it's still open, outstanding, etc. And I explained to him, I said, the people now have a, you know, a 1099 for almost 6 figures. That's going to really not be nice on their taxes and what they're going to owe, because, you know, they're going to owe taxation on that. So he understood, of course, and he was very understanding. And so the payment office did get the notice that the payment should be released to him because there was no offset. Apparently in October, they didn't do anything about it. He reminded them now in January. And he said, give it like 4 weeks. I said, okay, I'll be calling you in 4 weeks. So early February, I will make another phone call if something has not happened. But it's just another example, guys. These glitches happen. No one's getting paid. That would be including us, at least not the full amount. It was on some puny little amount. But more importantly, the client didn't get his due back benefits. So, you know, although our job is technically over after the award, this isn't something obviously that I would leave in their hands without helping them. You know, of course, in this case, there's also a fee attached to that, but that we would be wanting. But nonetheless, even if that wasn't the case, I would be shooting out, you know, letters trying to light the match to get that moving for them. Only because I think it's going to be more difficult for them to do because they don't really understand all the concepts. And I'm not a workers' comp attorney, and I'm not privy to all that stuff either, but I just know what this happens to be about, the basics. So we do our part to try to get it moving along. And the next step, if he said, I see the appeal, but they haven't processed it. Yeah, maybe I give him a chance to process it and give him 4 weeks for that. But if he said, no, we don't have anything, then I would have, because I've sent it like 5 times. You know, I'm a nag, you know. I nag my clients. I certainly nag the SSA. So I would have then gone to the congressperson, probably the one that is a congressperson for the client, which is not my same congressperson because they're in Jersey and I'm in PA. That would have been my next step. Fortunately, I'm hoping that doesn't seem like I'm going to have to do that. Whether it's going to be resolved in 4 weeks, I really hope so. I hope it would be resolved before they actually have to pay their taxes, you know, because that's just not right. But anyway, we did make some headway today, so I'm pleased about that. But it's another example of these glitches and the weird way they can really do a train wreck on someone's life and what's going on, like it's done with these folks. So anywho, that is another glitch for the record book. And I assume it's going to work out fine and you're not going to hear another video on it. But I'll let you know if not. And you know, if you have any glitches that you've come across that you were able to resolve and you want to share them to me, go ahead. Um, I'd really like people to know where the glitches crop up and what's the best way to resolve. Of course, I always think repetitively communicating with the SSA, like we have done, is the way to do it. I mean, you're not going to call them and nag them every day. They will tell you. It used to be to wait 60 days. Now it's probably wait a little longer, but I still go kind of with the 60-day thing. Resending what I sent, you're trying to just light a match. Somebody's eyeballs. I mean, if I send it 4 times, there was 4 people's eyeballs that were on that, and none of them did anything with it. None of them had the decency to shoot out a letter that said, "We got your appeal. We're working on it." No, they didn't. And nor did they say that they resolved it and that they reversed the workers' comp offset that shouldn't exist. So that's a little troublesome to me. I think that's the amount of energy wasted by us and by my client, the angst, because there was no communication coming from the field office. That's bad. I think that's really bad. The last thing he needs is more stress in his life. He's disabled, right? So anyway, that's the glitch, and hopefully this one's on its way to being worked out. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.